I found my wife packing her bags with another man, just as I discovered I won $265 million. She said I couldn't give her what she needed. Revenge is best served cold. I've always been a simple man with simple dreams. Ethan Carter, 35, owner of Verdant Roots Landscaping, the landscaping company I built from nothing but calloused hands and determination. My broad shoulders and 6-foot frame make clients feel confident I can handle the heavy lifting, but it's my friendly smile that seals the deals. 15 years of outdoor work have weathered my skin and hardened my palms, but I've never minded honest work for honest pay. That's what Dad always preached. Lydia seemed to love that about me when we first met. God, she was beautiful, still is, that long black hair cascading down her back, those mesmerizing amber brown eyes that could get anything they wanted from me, her perfect curves wrapped in designer clothes she insisted were investment pieces. I never complained. If my banking teller wife wanted nice things, I worked harder to provide them. Lately, though, something fell off. Lydia's been coming home later, distracted when I talk, her phone constantly buzzing with notifications she quickly dismisses. I tell myself it's stress from her job, even as doubt creeps in like weeds through garden stones. This morning started like any other, until my foreman called about equipment problems at our biggest project site. I kissed Lydia goodbye as she applied another coat of lipstick, far too elegant for a simple bank teller position. "Working late again?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Quarterly reviews," she replied without meeting my eyes. "Don't wait up." At the office, after handling the site crisis, I remembered the Mega Millions ticket in my wallet. The jackpot had reached ridiculous numbers, $265 million. I'd bought it on a whim, something I rarely did. I pulled up the winning numbers on my phone, expecting nothing as usual, but as I checked each number, my hands began to shake. 6 numbers, all matching. I verified them again and again. Holy, I'd won, all of it. My mind raced as I sat frozen in my office chair, the land in Montana we'd always talked about, the cabin I'd promised to build her, college funds for kids we hadn't started yet, no more 12-hour workdays, no more watching Lydia eye luxury catalogs with longing. This was it, the break we needed, the universe finally throwing me a bone after years of backbreaking work. I couldn't wait to see her face. I drove home early, rehearsing my revelation. Would I just blurt it out? Show her the ticket? I imagined her squealing with delight, jumping into my arms like when we first dated. But as I turned onto our street, I noticed an unfamiliar black Mercedes parked near our driveway. Then I saw Lydia loading a suitcase into its trunk. A tall man in an expensive suit stood beside her, Victor Grayson, her bank's regional director. I'd met him once at a company party, watching how his eyes followed my wife all evening. I parked and approached them, confusion turning to dread with each step. "Ethan?" Lydia's surprise seemed genuine. "You're home early. What's going on?" I asked, eyeing the luggage. Victor stepped back awkwardly as Lydia squared her shoulders. "I was going to call you tonight," she said. Her voice had a rehearsed quality. "I can't do this anymore, Ethan. I need more than this life can offer." She handed me an envelope, divorce papers, already signed. "I need someone who's going places," she continued, twisting the final knife. "Victor can give me what I want." As they drove away, I stood holding the envelope and her wedding rings, which she'd placed deliberately on top. The irony crushed me like a physical weight. In my pocket sat a ticket worth $265 million, and my wife was leaving me because I couldn't provide enough of that night. I called my sister, Samantha. She did what Samantha does, her outrage was comforting. "Left me for her boss, says I can't give her the life she wants." I paused before adding, "and I won the Mega Millions today. All of it, $265 million. The silence was followed by Samantha's shocked laughter. "Oh my God, Ethan, what are you going to do?" "Nothing, not until these divorce papers are final," I said, certainty growing. "She doesn't get to know." 3 days later, my phone rang, unknown number. I answered to silence, then a click. Someone was watching, but who? The next morning, I drove straight to Pinnacle Trust Bank and rented the largest safe deposit box they had. My hands trembled as I placed the winning ticket inside, along with copies of Lydia's goodbye note and divorce papers. The original papers sat with Thomas Bradley, the best divorce attorney in the county, who'd agreed to meet me on short notice. So, she just left? Bradley asked, reviewing the documents. No prior discussion? None that I was part of, I replied bitterly. He nodded, making notes. I see she already emptied your joint savings account, $15,000. My stomach dropped. That money was for a new company truck. We'll move quickly, Bradley promised. Given the circumstances and her initiation, we can probably finalize within 60 days. Just don't make any major financial changes until then. If only he knew. I closed our joint checking account that afternoon, opening a new one at a different bank. Then I called Samantha. Stay with us, she insisted. The girls would love it, and you shouldn't be alone right now. My sister's home in Boulder was everything mine wasn't: warm, chaotic, genuinely happy. Samantha ran a successful daycare center while her husband, Derek, worked in cybersecurity. Their daughters, Chloe and Ava, were sweet, curious girls who adored their Uncle Ethan and my dogs. I always thought she was playing you, Derek admitted one night after the girls were asleep. The way she'd check out when you weren't looking, always on her phone, a classic signs, man. 2 weeks later, I accepted a buyout offer for Verdant Roots Landscaping from Earth Haven Limited. They wanted my client list and reputation, offering fair terms, including 6-month employment guarantees for my team. Saying goodbye to the company I'd built was harder than I expected. Miguel, my first employee and right-hand man for 12 years, wept openly. What will we do without you? You'll be fine, I assured him, though my own voice cracked. They're lucky to have you. Clearing out our house was next, a minefield of memories. Every photo, every piece of furniture held moments that once seemed precious. In Lydia's closet, I found shopping bags stuffed with designer clothes, tags still attached, hidden behind winter coats, more secrets. Rex and Luna followed me from room to room, sensing my distress. At least they still loved me unconditionally. 61 days after Lydia walked out, our divorce was finalized. She didn't contest anything, too eager to start her new life with Victor. The next day, I claimed my Mega Millions winnings. I chose the annuity option, 20 annual payments of roughly $13.2 million after taxes. The accountant and financial advisor I'd hired thought I was crazy not to take the lump sum, but I didn't need all that money at once. This way, I'd have income for decades, even if I made some mistakes along the way. The lottery commission required a press conference. I kept it brief, thanking my family and saying I planned to help those who'd helped me. As I left, I noticed a man in a dark sedan watching me. He looked away when our eyes met the next morning. I asked Miguel to meet me at a truck dealership. What do you think of this one? I asked, pointing to a new Chevy Silverado. His eyes widened. Very nice, Chief. You buying a new truck? No, I smiled, handing him the keys and an envelope. You are? Well, I am, but it's for you. And there's something else inside. The envelope held a cashier's check for $100,000. Miguel stared at it, then at me. I don't understand. For your son's college fund and whatever else you need. But how? His eyes widened with realization. The lottery. That was you on TV. He embraced me, sobbing. Gracias, patron. Mi familia, gracias. Rex and Luna barked excitedly, jumping around us in the parking lot. The following week, I chartered a small plane to Boulder. A distinguished older gentleman and a little girl were also boarding. I'm Lucy, the girl announced immediately, captivated by my dogs. Can I pet them? Sure, they're friendly. I'm Harold Peterson, her grandfather, he introduced himself. Thanks for letting her play with your dogs. She's been nervous about flying. At the Boulder airport, Samantha, Derek, and the girls waited with homemade signs, "Welcome home, Uncle Ethan," and "Congrats, lottery winner." Sorry, Samantha winced. Your face has been all over the news. That night, after the kids were asleep, Samantha pulled me aside. Lydia called today, she said quietly. Asked where you were, if you were still heartbroken. My blood ran cold. What did you tell her? That you took off traveling with your new fortune. She sounded interested when I mentioned the lottery win. Derek joined us, opening his laptop. That car is still there, he said, showing us a security camera feed. A blue sedan had been parked down the street for 3 days. Think it's Lydia? Samantha asked. Or someone she hired, Derek suggested. I stared at the screen, unease crawling up my spine. Whoever it was, they'd found me, and they were watching. In the weeks that followed, I explored the surrounding pine ridge with Rex and Luna bounding ahead on every hike. The rolling limestone hills, crystal clear lakes, and vast Colorado skies brought a peace I hadn't felt in years. Mornings watching mist rise off Crystal Lake became my new therapy. You look better, Samantha commented one evening. Less haunted. Derek had introduced me to his favorite fishing spots, and I discovered I actually enjoyed the quiet patience fishing required, something I'd never had time for before. Think you'll stay in Boulder? Derek asked as we reeled in our lines one Saturday nearby. Maybe. I love it here, but I need my own space eventually. The next day, I was working on my laptop in a local coffee shop when I overheard an older man at the next table. Just too much land for me now, 50 acres with lake frontage. Lucy wants me in assisted living closer to her, but leaving that view, he sighed heavily. I introduced myself. Walter Finch had owned his Pine Ridge property for 40 years, but at 65, with arthritis worsening and his wife gone, he couldn't maintain it. I'd love to see it, I said impulsively. 2 hours later, I stood on a limestone bluff overlooking Crystal Lake, speechless. Ancient oak trees provided dappled shade across the property. A natural path wound down to the water, where a small private cove formed a perfect boat harbor. Built that dock myself, Walter said proudly. Best bass fishing in this part of the lake. I wandered the property in a daze. Here, at the highest point, I could see for miles rolling hills, the glittering lake, endless sky. Something clicked inside me. This was it. I called Samantha's friend Claire, a real estate agent, for advice. After researching comparable properties, I made Walter a fair offer, slightly above market value, but worth every penny. He accepted with visible relief. That weekend, I brought Samantha's family to see the property. Uncle Ethan, can we swim here? Ava asked, peering into the clear water. Of course. This is going to be your weekend playground. I hired Nathaniel Stone, an architect specializing in sustainable luxury homes. Together, we designed a 2-story modern ranch home that would blend into the landscape while maximizing the views. I wanted to feel part of the land, I explained, not imposed upon it. The design incorporated floor-to-ceiling windows facing the lake, a chef's kitchen opening to a great room with vaulted ceilings, 3 bedrooms upstairs, and a master suite with its own terrace. Outside, an infinity pool would seem to spill into the lake below. Solar panels, rainwater collection, and native landscaping made it environmentally responsible. The most striking feature will be this, Nathaniel pointed to his drawing. A cantilever deck from the great room creates the illusion of floating above the hillside. Construction began the following month. I visited the site daily, watching my vision take form. The floating dock came first, and Derek immediately moved his fishing boat from its expensive marina slip. This alone probably saved me the cost of the property, he joked, casting his line into the cove. Drawing on my landscaping background, I plotted gardens using drought-resistant native plants. Bluebonnets, Indian blanket, and Mexican feathergrass would provide color and texture year-round. I built stone pathways myself, finding satisfaction in physical labor after months of inactivity. 10 months later, the house was complete. Samantha helped select furnishings, comfortable but elegant, nothing like the formal showpiece furniture Lydia had preferred. I kept the finished house a secret from the rest of the family, wanting to surprise them when everything was perfect. I invited them for what they thought was just a progress check. Their faces as they entered the completed home were worth every penny I'd spent. Ethan, it's magnificent, Samantha whispered, taking in the soaring ceilings and lake views. Ava and Chloe raced upstairs to explore the bedrooms I'd designed with them in mind, one with a space theme, the other decorated in ocean blues. Rex and Luna investigated every corner, finally settling on the window seat with its panoramic view. We celebrated with a barbecue on the patio. Derek manned the grill while the girls splashed in the infinity pool. As darkness fell, we gathered around the fire pit, making s'mores and watching stars emerge in the unpolluted sky. After everyone had gone to bed in their designated rooms, I stood alone on my bedroom terrace. Below, moonlight silvered the lake. The enormity of what I'd accomplished washed over me. I'd created something beautiful, a place of peace and joy. Yet, despite being surrounded by family, a hollow ache persisted. Was this all there was, building a perfect shell around an empty life? Over the next few months, I established routines: morning swims, working remotely for charities I supported, weekly dinners with Samantha's family. I donated generously to local animal shelters and children's organizations, finding purpose in helping others. Occasionally, I still received those silent phone calls. Each time, my thoughts turned to Lydia. Had she discovered my fortune? Was she regretting her choice? I found I no longer cared. 6 months after moving in, I attended a charity gala benefiting abused animals. The event was held at a sprawling ranch owned by the foundation's founders, the Holts. "Your donation was incredibly generous," Margaret Holt told me. "What made you choose our organization?" I explained about Rex and Luna, rescued from a puppy mill years ago. "Well, we're grateful to have you," she smiled, introducing me to other donors. It was nearly midnight when I drove home, my mind unusually reflective. The house would be empty. Samantha had taken the dogs for the weekend so the girls could play with them. I contemplated my solitary existence, wondering if this beautiful life I'd built would ever feel truly complete. As I approached the bridge over Willow Stream, a flash of movement caught my eye. I slowed, peering into the darkness below. Then I heard it, a woman scream, desperate and terrified. Without thinking, I pulled over and ran toward the sound. I scrambled down the embankment toward the sounds of struggle. In the dim light beneath the bridge, I made out 2 men cornering a woman who was desperately clutching what looked like a small child behind her. "Please, take my bag, just don't hurt my daughter," her voice cracked with terror. I reached under my jacket, grateful I'd recently purchased a handgun and obtained my concealed carry permit. The weight of it gave me courage as I moved closer. "Hey!" I shouted, my voice echoing under the concrete. "Back away from them now." The men turned, startled. I raised my gun, keeping it pointed at the ground, a warning, not a threat. "I've already called the police." "I lied," I said. "Walk away while you can." They hesitated, then scrambled up the opposite embankment, disappearing into the night. The woman collapsed to her knees, sobbing with relief. A small girl emerged from behind her, wide-eyed and trembling. "Are you hurt?" I asked, keeping my distance to avoid frightening them further. "No," the woman managed between breaths. "Thank you." "Oh God, thank you." Under the dim light, I could make out her features, mid-30s, maybe, with shoulder-length brown hair and exhausted eyes. The little girl looked about 7, blonde hair tangled around a dirt-smudged face. "I should call the police," I said, reaching for my phone. "No." Her reaction was immediate, panicked. "Please, no police." I paused, suspicious but concerned. "Why not?" She hesitated, then whispered, "We're running from someone. Someone dangerous. Please." I recognized genuine fear when I saw it. After my own life's unexpected turn, I developed an instinct for sincerity. "I can take you somewhere safe," I offered. "A women's shelter, maybe?" "They'll find us there," she said, eyes darting nervously. "He has friends everywhere." Against my better judgment, I made a decision. "My home is secure. You can stay there tonight, figure things out in the morning." She hesitated, then nodded, gathering their meager belongings, a backpack and 2 plastic shopping bags. On the drive home, I learned their names: Isabel Harper and her daughter, Zoe. They'd been on the move for 3 days, sleeping in bus stations and under bridges. Both fell asleep before we reached my gate, a testament to their exhaustion. When I parked in my driveway, Isabel jolted awake, momentarily panicked. "Where are we?" "What, it's okay," I assured her. "My home, remember?" Rex and Luna bounded out when I opened the door, making her shrink back in fear. "They're friendly, I promised." Rex, Luna, sit. The dogs obeyed, tails wagging. Zoe cautiously extended a hand toward Luna, who promptly licked her fingers, earning a surprised giggle. In the kitchen, I warmed Samantha's homemade chicken soup while Isabel helped Zoe clean up in the guest bathroom. "This is the best soup ever," Zoe declared on her second bowl. Throughout the meal, Isabel remained vigilant, her eyes constantly assessing me, the exits, potential threats. When Zoe began nodding off at the table, I showed them to the guest rooms. "The security system is armed," I explained. "No one gets in without setting off alarms. You're safe here." Zoe fell asleep on the sofa, still clutching Rex's fur. I carried her to bed while Isabel watched with a mixture of gratitude and uncertainty. At dawn, I called Samantha. "I've done something either very stupid or very right," I began, explaining the night's events. "I'm coming over," she said immediately. "These women need another woman present to feel safe." Samantha arrived with her daughters, who quickly befriended Zoe. While the girls played in the game room, Samantha gently drew out Isabel's story. "Julian seemed perfect at first," Isabel explained, voice hollow. "After my mother died last year, I was so alone with Zoe. He was charming, generous." Her story unfolded a classic pattern of isolation and escalating abuse. Then I discovered his real business was drug trafficking. When I confronted him, her fingers touched a fading bruise on her cheek. He said if I ever left, he'd find us, that Zoe would pay the price. Her eyes welled with tears. 3 nights ago, he came home high, more violent than ever. He threatened Zoe directly for the first time. We left with whatever we could grab while he passed out. Samantha squeezed her hand. "You did the right thing." Later, while the women were occupied, Samantha pulled me aside. "I believe her," she said firmly, "and they need more than one night of safety." I nodded, having reached the same conclusion. "They can stay here. The security system is top-notch, and I have plenty of room." When I made the offer to Isabel, her suspicion returned. "Why would you do this for strangers?" I thought about Lydia, about sudden betrayal and unexpected kindness. "Because sometimes people need a break, and I have the means to provide one." 2 days later, Samantha offered Isabel a job at her daycare center. "You're amazing with the infants," Samantha told her after a trial day. "And Zoe can come after school." Isabel's experience became evident. She had a natural gift with children, especially the youngest ones. Watching her calm a fussy baby with practiced ease, I saw a different woman emerging from the frightened shell I'd found under the bridge. The transportation issue remained. My house was 20 minutes from Samantha's daycare. I solved it by purchasing a used Honda CR-V, practical and unassuming. "I can't accept this," Isabel protested when I presented the keys. "It's not a gift," I clarified. "Consider it part of your housing arrangement. You need transportation to work, and Zoe needs safe rides to school." The appreciation in her eyes made something shift in my chest. Getting Zoe enrolled in school took some maneuvering. With Samantha's help and her friendship with the assistant principal, we managed the paperwork despite the lack of formal documentation. Chloe and Ava promised to look after their new cousin, as they called her, on her first day. Zoe clung to Isabel's hand, excitement battling fear. "What if they don't like me?" she whispered. "Impossible," I assured her, kneeling to her level. "Just be yourself, that's pretty great." That evening, Zoe bubbled with stories about her new teacher and friends as I served dessert ice cream with chocolate sauce. She suddenly stood on her chair and planted a kiss on my cheek. "Thank you for our new home, Mr. Ethan." I felt something crack inside me, a piece of the wall I'd built after Lydia left. Over the next few weeks, a rhythm developed. Isabel excelled at the daycare, Zoe thrived at school, and I found myself looking forward to our dinners together, to weekend excursions showing them my favorite spots in Pine Ridge. I caught myself watching Isabel, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when concentrating, how her face transformed when she truly smiled. But each time our eyes held contact a moment too long, she would look away, rebuilding her protective walls. We were two wounded people circling cautiously, afraid to trust again. One afternoon, while picking up Zoe from school, I noticed an unfamiliar sedan parked across the street, its driver slumped low behind the wheel. My spine tingled with alarm. Was it Julian, or perhaps someone connected to Lydia? I said nothing to Isabel that night but quadrupled my vigilance, checking security footage before bed and upon waking. The next day, the car was gone, but the seed of worry had been planted. Someone was watching, and I had much more to lose now than just myself. A month passed, then another. Our awkward household gradually found its rhythm. Isabel excelled at Samantha's daycare, earning a promotion to lead infant caregiver. Zoe blossomed at school, making the honor roll and joining the junior choir. And I found myself looking forward to our domestic routines with an intensity that sometimes frightened me. Mornings became my favorite, Zoe chattering about school projects while Isabel prepared breakfast and I brewed coffee. Evenings were game nights or movie marathons, Zoe nestled between us on the sofa, the dog sprawled at our feet. It felt like family, something I'd given up hoping for after Lydia. "You're different," Samantha observed one afternoon when she stopped by. "Happier." "They're good company," I deflected, busying myself with lunch preparations. "Machem," she hummed knowingly. "And Isabel's just good company, too?" I didn't answer but felt heat rise to my face. Truth was, I'd been fighting growing feelings for weeks, watching Isabel laughing with Zoe, the gentleness in her hands as she tended plants in the garden I'd helped her start, the determination in her eyes as she rebuilt her life piece by piece. Everything about her drew me in, but the memory of Lydia's betrayal lurked like a shadow, whispering warnings. Later that week, I overheard Samantha and Isabel talking on the patio. "He watches you, you know," Samantha said. "When you're not looking." "He's just being kind," Isabel responded, but her voice held uncertainty. "My brother doesn't look at women, he's just being kind to the way he looks at you," Samantha countered. "Even if that's true," Isabel sighed, "I'm not exactly a great catch, a single mom with baggage and an abusive ex who might still be looking for us." "Ethan has his own baggage," Samantha replied. "Maybe that's why you fit." The conversation shifted, but it lingered in my mind. Did Isabel feel something too, or was Samantha seeing what she wanted to see? But 3 days later, Samantha invited Isabel shopping. They returned with bags from stores I didn't recognize, Isabel looking simultaneously excited and terrified. That night at dinner, I understood why. She'd traded her usual jeans for a sundress that accentuated curves I'd been gentlemanly enough to pretend not to notice. "You look nice," I managed, focusing intently on serving pasta. "Thanks," she smiled, a new confidence in her expression. Samantha thought I should update my wardrobe. Over the next week, the updated wardrobe became a daily revelation, skirts that showed toned legs, tops that hinted at delicate collarbones. Nothing inappropriate, we had Zoe to consider, but enough to make me lose my train of thought mid-sentence. This wasn't one-sided, I realized. This was strategy. Meanwhile, Zoe had clearly decided I belonged in their future. She began kissing my cheek goodbye each morning, just like Chloe and Ava did. She begged me to teach her fishing, sitting patiently beside me on the dock for hours. And one evening, she presented a crayon drawing, 3 stick figures holding hands in front of a house suspiciously similar to mine. "It's our family," she announced, presenting it proudly. My heart constricted as I solemnly hung it on the refrigerator. "It's perfect," I told her, meaning it more than she could understand. 2 months after they'd moved in, Samantha called with an offer. "The girls want to sleep over with Zoe," she said innocently. "We could keep her overnight Friday, give you and Isabel some time to talk." That Friday, I returned from a charity meeting to find the house transformed, dimmed lights, candles, soft music. Isabel stood in the kitchen doorway wearing a simple black dress I'd never seen, hair loose around her shoulders. "Zoe's with Samantha," she said, a slight tremor in her voice betraying her nervousness. "I thought maybe we could have dinner, just us." She prepared steaks, roasted vegetables, and chocolate mousse. I contributed a bottle of Cabernet I'd been saving for a special occasion. Conversation flowed easier without Zoe's presence, deeper topics emerging as the wine disappeared. "I gave up believing good men existed," Isabel admitted as we finished dessert. "Before you found us, I convinced myself Zoe and I would always be running, always alone." "I gave up too," I confessed. "After Lydia left, I built all this," I gestured around us, "but it was empty until you two filled it." Her eyes held mine longer than usual. "The hot tub on the deck is ready." I thought maybe. My mouth went dry as she stood, confidence and vulnerability mingling in her expression. Under stars and moonlight, steam rising around us, Isabel emerged from the house in a modest black bikini, not provocative, but beautiful in its simplicity against her pale skin. I tried not to stare as she slipped into the bubbling water beside me. "Samantha says you watch me when I'm not looking," she said suddenly, her directness catching me off guard. "Samantha talks too much," I replied, heart-hammering. "Is she wrong?" I met her gaze, deciding truth was the only option. "No, she's not wrong. Why haven't you said anything?" "Because you and Zoe needed safety, not complications. Because you've been hurt enough. Because I've been hurt too." I hesitated. "It's hard to trust again." She moved closer, water rippling between us. "What if I want complications? What if I've been waiting for you to see me as more than someone to rescue?" The moonlight caught in her damp hair, silvering her skin. I reached out, fingers brushing her cheek. "I've seen you, Isabel, from the beginning." Her lips met mine halfway, tentative at first, then with growing certainty. Gentle exploration became urgent need, months of unspoken desire crystallizing in that moment. Later, tangled in my sheets, Isabel traced patterns on my chest. "I've never had this before." "Sex?" I asked, confused. She laughed softly. "Respect, safety, being wanted for myself, not what I could provide or endure." I pulled her closer, heart full. "Get used to it. It's the bare minimum you deserve." The next morning, we took my boat out on the lake. Alone in the middle of the water, Isabel's hair blowing in the breeze, I felt a peace I'd forgotten existed. "I keep waiting for something to ruin this," she admitted, nestled against me as we drifted. "It seems too perfect." "Not perfect," I corrected. "Real, with problems and fears and baggage, but real." A passing speedboat slowed, its occupants waving. Isabel smiled and waved back, then deliberately kissed me, making a clear statement of possession. "Someone's territorially marking their claim," I teased when the boat passed. "Damn right," she replied unapologetically. "You're taken now, Ethan Carter." Zoe returned that afternoon, immediately sensing the shift between us. Her eyes darted from Isabel's smile to my proximity, whilst turning visibly behind her thoughtful gaze. "Are you and mommy boyfriend and girlfriend now?" she asked directly during lunch. I glanced at Isabel, who nodded slightly. "We care about each other very much," I explained carefully. "Is that okay with you?" Zoe considered seriously, then asked, "Does that mean we can stay forever as a real family?" That evening, I took Zoe fishing while Isabel prepared dinner. Sitting on the dock, lines cast into the golden sunset reflecting water, I broached the subject again. "You know I care about your mom a lot," I began. "I know," she nodded sagely. "You look at her like Prince Charming looks at Cinderella." I laughed. "That obvious, huh?" She nodded again, then grew serious. "I've been praying for a dad like you," she confessed, voice small. "Someone who doesn't yell or throw things, someone who likes fishing and dogs and making mom smile." My throat tightened as she leaned against me, small arms wrapping around my waist. "I've been pretty lucky to find a friend like you too, kiddo." As the sun sank behind the hills, we joined Isabel on the patio. The three of us walked along the shoreline, Zoe between us, each holding one of her hands, swinging her occasionally to her delighted giggles. Ahead of us, Rex and Luna chased each other through shallow water. For the first time since Lydia left, I felt whole again, not despite my scars, but because someone understood them and had chosen me anyway. 3 months into our relationship, I knew Isabel was the one, not like with Lydia, or I'd mistaken passion for partnership. With Isabel, love grew from respect, trust, and genuine compatibility. We'd built something real together, and I wanted to make it permanent. The ring I chose was elegant rather than flashy, a 1-carat oval diamond in a platinum setting with smaller stones flanking it. The jeweler in Boulder assured me it was exquisite, but the opinion that truly mattered came from a 7-year-old expert. "Do you think I should marry your mom?" I asked Zoe one afternoon while Isabel was at work. Her eyes widened comically. "For real? Like, forever?" "That's the plan," I nodded. "But I wanted to ask if that would be okay with you first." She launched herself into my arms with such force I nearly toppled backward. Yes. A million billion times yes. I showed her the ring box. Think she'll like it? Zoe examined the contents with serious scrutiny. It's pretty like mommy, not too big and scary like the ladies on TV. That's exactly what I thought. I closed the box. But this is our secret mission, okay? Operation Surprise Mommy. She nodded solemnly, then whispered, "Can I help plan it?" I reserved a private dining room at Giovanni's, the Italian restaurant where we'd celebrated Isabel's promotion. Samantha helped coordinate, ensuring everyone knew the plan except Isabel. Even the waitstaff were briefed. The night arrived, perfect and clear, stars emerging over Boulder as we drove to the restaurant. Isabel wore her favorite black dress, the one she'd worn for our first dinner alone. Zoe sat between us in the back seat, practically vibrating with excitement in her new pink dress. "What's the occasion?" Isabel asked suspiciously. "You two have been whispering all week." "Just a family dinner," I replied innocently. "Samantha and Derek are meeting us there." At the restaurant, we were led to the private room where Samantha, Derek, and the girls waited, champagne for the adults, sparkling cider for the kids. Conversation flowed easily through appetizers and entrees, though I barely tasted the food. After dessert, tiramisu, Isabel's favorite, I caught Samantha's eye. She nodded imperceptibly and distracted Isabel with a question about work while I slipped from my chair to one knee beside her. The room fell silent. Isabel turned and gasped, hand flying to her mouth. "Isabel," my voice wavered slightly, "when I found you that night, I thought I was saving you, but the truth is, you saved me. You brought life back into my home and love back into my heart." I opened the ring box. "Would you do me the extraordinary honor of becoming my wife, of building our family together officially and permanently?" "Yes," she whispered through tears. "Yes, Ethan, yes." As I slid the ring onto her finger, the room erupted in applause. Zoe launched herself between us, eyes shining. "Are you my dad now?" she asked, making my heart swell. I cupped her small face in my hands. "If you want me to be. Nothing would make me prouder than to be your dad." "I have a dad," she announced to the room, bringing fresh tears to everyone's eyes. Wedding planning commenced immediately, though Isabel resisted my offers of extravagance. "I don't need a fairy tale production," she insisted. "Just us, our family, in our home where we found each other." Samantha helped coordinate a simple ceremony in our backyard garden. Zoe, Ava, and Chloe took their flower girl duties with utmost seriousness, practicing their petal tossing technique for weeks. 2 nights before the wedding, Derek noticed something concerning on the security cameras, a figure moving at the edge of our property. Though nothing was disturbed, we increased security for the ceremony. Our wedding day dawned clear and perfect. The garden was transformed with white roses, hanging lanterns, and an arbor overlooking the lake. Derek stood beside me as best man while Samantha served as matron of honor. When the music changed and Isabel appeared in a simple lace gown, Zoe holding her hand, I couldn't hold back tears. All the pain, betrayal, and loneliness of my past washed away in that moment. This was my real fortune, not the lottery millions, but the woman walking toward me and the child who had chosen me as her father. For our honeymoon, I surprised Isabel with 2 weeks in Bermuda, the first alone, the second with the whole family joining us. "I might need the break," I confessed with a wink after our exhausting but exhilarating first week. "You're wearing me out, Mrs. Carter." "That's the plan, Mr. Carter," she replied, pulling me back to bed. When the family arrived, our private romantic getaway transformed into a joyous family vacation, watching Zoe build sandcastles with her cousins, Isabel's hair windblown as she tried paddleboarding, Samantha and Derek relaxed and happy. These moments were priceless. Back home, we quickly settled into married life. I formally adopted Zoe, who proudly took the Carter name. Her transition from calling me Ethan to Dad happened naturally, each dad still bringing a lump to my throat. A year later, Isabel gave birth to Chloe Violet Carter, named after both her grandmother and Samantha's daughter. I took 6 months off to be with them, discovering I was surprisingly good with middle-of-the-night feedings and diaper changes. "You're a natural," Isabel observed, watching me rock Chloe Violet back to sleep. I had a good teacher, I nodded toward Zoe, who had shown remarkable patience with her baby sister. 5 years flew by in a blur of first steps, school projects, family vacations, and everyday moments that built our shared life. Zoe and Mia, now high school seniors, had both been accepted to UT Boulder with full scholarships, Zoe for pre-med, Mia for engineering. Isabel had partnered with Samantha to expand the daycare into a network of centers specializing in supporting single mothers. I continued my philanthropy, establishing a foundation focused on helping families escape domestic violence. As I sat watching Zoe accept her high school diploma, Isabel's hand in mine and little Chloe Violet squirming impatiently between us, I reflected on the journey that had brought us here. The lottery had given me money, but life had given me something far more valuable, the chance to build a family based on love, respect, and trust. From the ashes of betrayal had risen something beautiful and lasting. What are you thinking about? Isabel whispered as Zoe returned to her seat, waving her diploma triumphantly. How lucky I am, I replied, squeezing her hand. Not because of the money, but because I found you. She leaned against my shoulder. We found each other. In that moment, surrounded by the people I loved most in the world, I knew I'd won the only lottery that truly mattered.